Hello, my name's Tanya Drake, and I'm going to make a quick video about setting up a Schoology gradebook so that your students' scores in Schoology more closely reflect what they will look like when you transform over to Synergy/Parent View, Student View. This is super helpful to kids as they're looking quickly into Schoology for grading that is happening in the moment before you get a chance to move over, and helps parents understand the grading a little bit better as well. I'm going to start by showing you what it would look like to a student if you just kind of leave it as the default. So if you look here, you'll see that this is a class where it's showing up as percentages, 80.42%, 87.5%, and these don't really mean anything in our current system. So I'm going to go into one of my courses. This is actually a course I use for my robotics after-school extracurricular, but I do use the gradebook for them. So I'm going to go into Grade Setup, and you're going to see that there are categories up here, and by default this will be unweighted. So I'm going to weight the categories, and then I'm going to add categories in. And our categories could be formative, drop the lowest, I'm not going to drop any, and I'm going to weight it. Since I clicked that box ahead of time, it'll ask me right now how much I want to weigh it, and I'm going to weight this at 20% because I'm going to be doing an 80-20. Then I'm going to add in summative, and I'm going to weight that at 80%. So now you can see I have three categories. I have a summative 80%, a formative 20%, and a to-do list that is a 0% of things that I just want them to do. I want formative to be the one that is default if I go to set up a new assignment, so I'm going to click on this little star. Now I have an 80-20 set up just like I do in Synergy, and I'm going to go down, and now I'm going to choose my gradebook scale. And in here you should have, if you're in Osseo area schools, Osseo Elementary and Osseo Secondary. If you choose that Osseo Secondary rubric, it'll convert the student scores that they see to a 10-point or to a 4-point scale. And then there's some other options. I usually hide one of the two grade columns. I don't want to hide both because then they're just redundant. So I'm going to hit Save Changes, and now those settings are saved. Now when a student goes into their Schoology gradebook, they will see the categories broken up the same way that I have them in my gradebook. So this is a student who agreed to let me put him up on the screen, probably because he knew he had 4s. And you can notice that in this class, this is my first hour class, I actually run a 90-10. And so for his formative work, that is showing up as 10%. I have some check-ins that are not graded, that don't count against their grade. Pre-test, it doesn't count against his grade, so those are 0. And then I don't have a summative yet this trimester. The summative will be 90%. And you can see overall then his grade is shown as a number out of 4. If I do have one thing I caution my students about using the Schoology gradebook as their test of where they're doing, it is that Schoology assumes that they're going to turn everything in, and so it leaves things without counting against them if they're not turned in. So this assignment was due on Friday, and so it's not counting against his grade yet, whereas in Student View it would count against him as a 0 until I put a score in. So I always tell them that Schoology is optimistic. It assumes that you're going to turn everything in before the end of the trimester, and Synergy is a little bit pessimistic. It assumes that you're not going to get it turned in. If you saw my other video, you know that this little piece of paper right here means that he has turned this in, but I have not yet had a chance to score this assignment. Now you might be saying to yourself that you saw that the quiz, the pretest, was set up out of 4 points. And you might think to yourself, is that just because there are 4 questions? And the answer to that is no. Actually, my test has 13 points in it, and I'm able to set the total number of points here at 4. So now that assignment is worth 4 points, which is my Unit 2 pretest. I do this with all of my quizzes. And now, because of the way we set up our Schoology gradebook, now also when I go in and do a new assignment, and I choose my due date and set my total points to 4, I will also have different choices here, but notice it fell to Formative Unit 2 first because that was the one I gave the star to, and that was the one I told I wanted to be the default. So there you go. There's some tips for how to set up your gradebook in Schoology and how to go set up a quiz so it's worth 4 points. If you are looking for some other information about how to give feedback into grading, I do have another video, Feedback for Students in Schoology and Teaching Students to Find It, 14 minutes and 9 seconds of pure Schoology joy. Thanks. Hopefully you are having a great day, and continued good luck as you continue our online extended learning.